The visual effects industry is going through a major shift. For years, VFX work depended heavily on manual labor. Artists spent hours rotoscoping objects, replacing backgrounds, tracking shots, and compositing characters into scenes. But now, artificial intelligence is starting to change that process. AI tools are becoming faster, more capable, and in many cases, surprisingly accurate. Tasks that once required hours of frame-by-frame work can now be done in minutes. So the big question is not whether AI will affect the VFX industry. The real question is how much of the traditional workflow will be replaced, automated, or completely transformed. In this video, we're going to take a look at some practical examples. Specifically, we'll explore what AI can already do today in 3 major areas of visual effects production. First, object replacement, replacing props, vehicles, or other elements inside a shot without manually painting or masking every frame. Second, background replacement, changing the entire environment of a scene even when the camera is moving. And third, character replacement, where AI can transform or swap characters in a shot while preserving motion, lighting, and composition. Some of these techniques would normally require a full VFX pipeline with multiple artists involved, but with modern AI tools, the process can be dramatically simplified. In this video, we'll break down how these AI methods work, what they can realistically achieve today, and where they still fall short. Because while AI is powerful, the role of the VFX artist is far from over. Let's take a closer look at what's possible. Now let's take a look at the qwen vase in painting workflow. In this example, we will replace the dog in the video with a panda. First, we input a panda image. This will be used as the reference for the replacement. For the prompt, I enter a simple description of the video. In this case, the prompt is, "A panda jumps onto the bench and lays on the man's lap." This prompt helps guide the AI so it understands the action and how the new character should behave in the scene. However, there is one issue with this mask selection method. In the mask selection area, we cannot see the dog when creating the mask. When we look at the video, the dog only appears after a few seconds. In the first frame, the dog is not visible, which is why we cannot select it. To solve this, we use the mask frame node. In this node, we move forward about 50 frames into the video. This allows us to view a frame where the dog is already visible. Once the dog appears in the mask selection frame, we can click and create the mask normally. Next, we create a mask around the subject we want to replace. You can place green points by holding Shift plus left click. These points select the subject you want to isolate. If the selection includes areas you don't want, you can remove them using red points. Create a red mask by holding Shift plus right click. The red area tells the system which parts should be deselected. Even if the dog is not visible in the first frame, you don't need to worry. The mask tracking algorithm will still capture it using bidirectional tracking. This means the system tracks both forward and backward through the frames. So even if the mask is created later in the timeline, it will still track the subject correctly across the entire video without missing frames. Now the mask is created correctly, marked by the red area. Once everything is ready, we queue the workflow. After processing, the system replaces the dog with the panda in the video. The AI uses the mask and the reference image to generate the new character while keeping the original motion and scene intact. To achieve this using a conventional VFX workflow, the process would be much more complex. First, we would need to create a clean plate to remove the dog from the shot. Then, a 3D panda would need to be modeled, rigged, and animated to match the motion in the scene. After that, the animated panda would be composited back into the plate with careful adjustments to lighting, shadows, and perspective to match the original footage. With AI, the process becomes much simpler. You just mask the subject and replace it with the new character. This even bypasses the labor-intensive rotoscoping work that VFX artists traditionally have to do frame by frame. Next, we will use the same method, but this time we will select a static object, like a car. The process is exactly the same. I simply select the car and create a mask around it. Once the object is isolated, I replace it using a reference image of a car. In this example, I provide a steampunk vintage car as the reference, and the AI generates a replacement directly in the video. Now let's look at background replacement. First, I select the car and the woman and create a mask around them. Then I invert the selection so the background becomes the active mask. After that, I replace the background with the snow landscape. Because of some mask errors, the snow also appears on parts of the car. Next, I try another background, a highway street environment. This time, the replacement works much better, and the lighting matches the scene more naturally. All of this was done using a ComfyUI workflow with the model called qwen vase in painting. You can find this workflow inside the templates. Go to the video section and scroll down until you see WAN Vase 2.1 in painting. In the example preview, you can see a cat being masked out and replaced with a dog. If you click it, the workflow will load automatically. The default workflow does not include video mask selection, so I replaced that part with mask selection nodes designed for video creation. If you want this workflow, I will provide it in the description. Let me know in the comments. Lastly, here's another method called time to move. With this approach, you only create a rough cutout animation to guide the motion. The AI then generates a refined video with realistic movement that blends naturally with the scene. In other words, the rough animation acts as a guide and the AI fills in the details. Here are a couple of examples. A monkey jumping on a bed. You first create a rough cutout animation, and then the AI intelligently generates a smooth, polished animation from it. I also tried this myself with a simple cutout of a woman walking into the frame. After creating the mask and applying it, the AI generated a realistic woman who walks naturally into the scene with fluid motion. Look at the glass being filled with wine. The cutout animation estimates the motion and timing of the action, and the AI generates a smooth and fluid result. This approach gives you precise control over the video you want to edit or generate. In the past, effects like this would usually require 3D VFX work and complex simulations. Now, with AI, many of these effects can be replicated much more easily. This was a quick review of how AI can be used as a tool in modern VFX workflows. As you can see, tasks that once required complex pipelines, heavy rotoscoping, and 3D animation can now be done much faster with AI-assisted tools. While traditional VFX skills are still important, AI is clearly becoming a powerful addition to the artist's toolkit. If you found this interesting, subscribe for more videos where we explore new AI tools, workflows, and techniques for visual effects.